like being able to have an entire season with Drew Brees was a dream of mine. Like, and for him to put his arm around me, or just give me any encouraging words after I saw the resilience, the passion, the way that he went and approached every single day. But that to even be a story, like I was touched by that, because he doesn't even know how much he means to me and my family, for real. But I'm not gonna share what he shared with me. I don't even remember, but it touched me. Being having a chance to play in the playoffs after like winning a playoff game, like getting a chance to throw a touchdown in the playoffs. Like, I love football. That's all I've done my entire life. And someone that I look up to, that I admire, that I actually could, could touch, was my teammate, and I had a chance to serve him. Like, man, I'm speechless to that. Like, that really gets me emotional, because I really love Drew Brees. Like, I don't think he understands. I know my wife do. I know my family do, but y'all don't understand the impact that him and a lot of other quarterbacks had on me as a quarterback growing up in Bessemer, Alabama. Y'all don't never understand, like, a lot of people don't understand that human aspect to an athlete. But nah, man. Just know I love Drew Brees for real. Like, I really do.
Jameis, I love Drew Brees too. I appreciate what you're saying, my man. You only had him for 1 year. Imagine being a Drew Brees fan, 15 years in New Orleans. He finally officially retires. The whole city's emotional. The whole regional is emotional. Welcome into Tigers Roar. I'm Jonathan Poche, of course, alongside Buddy Songy. You got to start off with number 9. You see the jersey right there. Drew Brees, what a job he did for the city of New Orleans and the entire region. Coming in after Katrina 2006. He talked a lot about, on a lot of different interviews, about how him and his wife came down 2006. Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton, took him around the city. They were driving around, ended up in Lakeview, got lost, headed back to the facility, took a wrong turn, and ended up in a street that was filled with a tugboat. And he looked at his wife and said, this is so much more than football. We need to be here. And, the rest is history. Number 9, it will be retired for New Orleans. Nobody else will wear number 9. The Saints really don't like to retire jerseys. Number 9 will be retired. Budman, welcome in. Know we're a little far away.
Good to see you. We hadn't been here in a while, and we are recapping everything that we have not had a chance to go over. Of course, LSU in the mix of a bunch of sports just got beat by Michigan in basketball, baseball on the road this weekend with Tennessee. Of course, football spring training going on. But, yeah, we had to give Drew Brees some major props at the beginning of the show. And you got to thank Nick Saban and really the doctors of Miami who made a bad call. And, of course, the rest is history, as you said. You and I were lamenting before the start of the show that it's so sad that he didn't get the send-off in the Superdome like he should have gotten. It's also very appropriate that Mr. Cook, who dropped and fumbled and tinkled away the Saints' chances to get back to the Super Bowl this year. He got traded. So, but yeah, I'm really going to miss Drew Brees. That first Sunday when Jameis throws about 3 INTs and they lose by 6. The problem that I think all of us had with Drew Brees is that it was so sad. They tried every way they could to get him a championship and get back in the Super Bowl. And really, the shaft job from the officials against the Rams and some other bad breaks. But man, oh man, you appreciate somebody a lot more when you don't have them. And I think people will certainly remember him in all the right ways.
That's right. I saw a tweet that was really fitting. It said in 2016, 2018, the Saints failed Drew Brees, but of course from 1921, Drew Brees kind of failed the Saints. It wasn't the same quarterback we saw early in his career. They tried to extend his playing time by tailoring the offense, didn't stretch the field, really made his decision-making quick inside the box. Also got a good running game and a good defense, try to extend that shelf life for Drew Brees. Couldn't get it done. Didn't go out the way he wanted to. 3 interceptions in his last game. Of course, we know that with the COVID restrictions, never played in front of a full stadium in Superdome in his last season. That is the biggest shame to me. I agree. Wish it could have been in that number to give him the right send-off. But he'll be back, no doubt in my mind. When they come to retire the jersey, there'll be a long, extended applause for Drew Brees. Certainly deserved. Not only on the field, but what he did off the field, in the locker room, in the community. One of a kind, Drew Brees. I mean, he wasn't the hero that New Orleans deserved, but he was the one that they needed. And you say thank Nick Saban. I mean, think about how different both landscapes would have been if Nick Saban stays at LSU, Drew Brees goes to Miami after getting injured from San Diego. LSU perhaps has a dynasty in college football, but the Saints never get off the schneid. They're the same team they always were. The fans had bags on their heads. I don't think many Saints fans would trade it. Obviously, many Saints fans are also LSU fans, but I mean, the way things worked out, it was really storybook. Drew Brees did get the one Super Bowl MVP, all the records you could ever imagine for a guy that was barely 6 feet tall, had an injury that should have shelved him for the rest of his career, but he fought back, really showed passion and resiliency. The same things Jameis Winston was talking about. That's what he left with that team. That's his legacy, to work hard, Monday through Saturday so you can succeed on Sunday. He was the first guy in the building. There's lots of stories out there, guys trying to beat Drew Brees to the building, to the facility in the morning. It might have happened once or twice, but Drew Brees, first one in the building, last one out, which is what you want from your leader.
I tell you what, JP, I wanted you to talk more today, and all we had to do was throw you a line about the Saints and Drew Brees, and you could tell the passion is there. And as we said, being a lifelong fan, and you get so close, and then Roger Goodell. By the way, I still think it's the best looking jersey in all of the NFL. In fact, one of the BFF's grandkids got that Color Rush jersey right there with Breeze. So you've got good taste there. Of course, look, the thing about football and life and athletics is that you think you get a honeymoon after you win a championship. And we'll segue over to here to Coach O and LSU. And what a rude awakening. I mean, look, we all know that we had to, and how many of us, when this stuff hit mid-March last year, how many of us said, man, this is going to be bad for a long time? None of us.
None of us, right.
We thought this was going to happen. And then we listened to Dr. Foo-Foo Fauci, and he said, oh, the burn off, and then you didn't need a mask, then you need double mask, then it's going to burn off for the summer, all of that. We have been through holy hell. And one of the things I took when you were going on that Breeze tribute, we got to get back to normalcy,
yep.
And we got to get back to tailgating in these stadiums 80%, 90%, 100%. And unfortunately, politics has played a role, and Latoya the Destroyer, somebody needs to put a bug in her ear that, New Orleans needs it as a city, the fans need it, and let's just hope and pray that with everybody now having an opportunity to get vaccinated by May or June, that we can get back to some of that normalcy.
Of course, LSU baseball and LSU basketball just finishing up. We'll talk a lot about that here on Tigers Roar. Also later in the show, we'll have Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com. A lot going on at this time. Of course, we tape here on March 24th, 2021. Don't go anywhere. We have a whole lot more on Tigers Roar. Once again, he's Buddy Songy, and I'm Jonathan Poche. You're watching Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
Continue here on Tigers Roar, talking NCAA men's basketball tournament. LSU gets eliminated by the #1 seed Michigan Wolverines in a game that was LSU's game to start. Late in the second half, Michigan made a run, ended up going to the break, up by 1 point, LSU down. Look, LSU had the big four. They played very well. Cam Thomas, Javonte Smart, they balled out. They were phenomenal. I mean, those two guys played all 40 minutes, gave everything they had on the court. Unfortunately, depth and then missing a few shots in a row when you went ISO. Of course, didn't get enough stops. But you got to tip your hat to Michigan, Bud, man. That is a very talented team. That was without one of their best players. And still, you can see how the depth on that team and why they had the #1 seed.
You know, we were just talking about getting back to normal and just talking about you don't really miss something until it's gone for a year and it comes back. I watch more March Madness basketball than I can ever remember. A, because we missed it last year.
Right.
B, because it's always a lot of fun with the upsets and the seedings. And, of course, they've been LSU back sideways with the 8 seed.
Right.
St. Bonnie shouldn't have been a 9 seed. Michigan is the only Big Ten team left. They had 9 in the tournament. They got 1 going into the Sweet 16. Good year for Will Wade. You and I were talking. We expect both the stars, obviously, no-brainer for Javonte Smart and Cam Thomas. And look, Watford is a tweener at the next level. He'll still go, and Darius Days is probably going to go. So it will be a rebuild. But I'm watching the game, and LSU's making all these outside shots. And guess what, Michigan? And they were well coached. Whether you give Juwan Howard a lot of credit because he was part of the Fab Five.
Right.
But the skinny on LSU is dribble, drive, penetration.
Yep.
They don't have a rim protector. And so LSU was making threes and outside shots, and Michigan's shooting these little dink and dunks. Now, let's give them credit. They made that 7-foot freshman work his ton off.
Yep.
But Michigan had good ball movement. They played together in the team. They got some transition buckets. Here we go. We'll talk about it. But, man, to see Smart and all those guys with Neil on the fire, that's a lot of fun to watch, JP.
I mean, the freshman phenom, Cam Thomas, he did finish with 30 points, but to me, the story was all about Javonte Smart. 27 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, did have 1 turnover. But LSU won the turnover battle in the first half. I believe they had 13 points off of turnovers against Michigan's 2 points. So they did well in the first half. Of course, gave up a late run, as I mentioned, and went down by 1. But here's the second half action. LSU, as you mentioned, early in this game had a lot of legs under him, was good. We're making the 3 balls. I see Cam Thomas right there. That kid can score from anywhere. But too much Michigan at the end. Of course, you mentioned the bigs. Michigan had a couple bigs that were active for him. He's number 1. Getting down low, that was a nice pass right there from the guard. It was just tough for LSU to defend Michigan's offense.
Well, and listen, from an LSU standpoint offensively, there's been questionable shot selection all year long. Michigan made 10 threes. That surprised me a little bit, even though they had a good track record. 2 other big things that I think were factored. Here's another 3-ball by Michigan. Do you have the play in here where he stepped out of bounds and the foul was called? Is that in the highlights?
I'm not sure, but that was an obvious missed call. I mean, I was watching it live. I knew he stepped out, and the referee was right on the line watching it.
Javonte Smart really did a good job this year driving and getting people on his hip and making the low short bank shots. And once again, here is a drive. No big man to thwart, and that to me was the biggest thing that they could not overcome this year. Not having a rim protector, giving up second shots and rebounds. But not only that, and then did you have the other controversial call with Cam Thomas, who got called. Man, he got murdered in the second half, and they didn't call a foul one time.
I believe the play you're talking about is when he's on the right wing, drove to the center lane and tried to put up a little floater, made the floater. It was going to be a 3-point play, but they called charging on Cam Thomas. And then the play that Wofford fouled out on. I mean, it was obvious to me Cam Thomas was fouled, going for that offensive rebound. Of course, there was a little a tumble, a push, and then Wofford ends up fouling out. But at that point, the game was pretty much over.
Yeah, and Michigan made a good stretch there. Of course, LSU was up. One of the faux pas with Javonte Smart. They only had 3 turnovers in this game. But when you're trying to be cool and you got the image and all the swag, but you don't need to throw the ball behind your butt and through your legs on an assist that went out of bounds. That hurt them a little bit.
Michigan did lead the Big Ten in 3-point shots, and LSU kind of lived and died all season by giving up 3-point shots. You see Cam Thomas trying to get to the rim. That was a nice move, but unfortunately LSU just missed too many ISO drives in that stretch in the second half.
I don't want people to think I'm blaming the loss on the referees, but here's the skinny, folks. Before half and at the end of the game, they can go to the replay and look at it and adjust it. They did not have an opportunity to do that. The Michigan player stepped out of bounds. They were called. They called somebody on LSU for foul. He made 2 foul shots, 1 and 1. And then, as you said, I think this was really the momentum swinger. Cam Thomas. And as we know, he pump fakes and gets people on his body. Then he jumps into them.
Right.
Well, they call the charge. And that's a 5-point play because you take away the 3 points. You know he's going to make the free throw. He's at 7-7, and then give them the ball and the opportunity, taking away to 2. It really hurt him. But look, great year. Now we'll see what happens with the reload. But a lot of fun, and Cam Thomas pretty explosive. Now his shot selection certainly left a lot to be desired. But man, you got to figure this guy's going to be an incredible pro in a couple of years.
All right, so Sweet 16 is set. There's 4 games Saturday, 4 games Sunday. It's been a lot of madness, a lot of double-digit seeds that have advanced to the Sweet 16. That's why they call it March Madness. Looking ahead, who do you think has the best chance to take this? If you're asking me, Gonzaga, perfect on the season. They have to be the favorites, haven't lost a game. I think they can get it done and join that elite list of college basketball teams to go perfect on the season. I also thought Illinois was pretty good, but of course they got upset.
Oh, man.
So I thought it was going to be a final between Gonzaga and Illinois. Of course, Illinois ain't going to be there. But if it's up to you, bud, man, who do you see moving forward out of the Sweet 16 to the Final Four?
You were poking me there because I had Ohio State getting there in one bracket and I had Illinois in the other bracket. I did pick Gonzaga and I picked Bama. And so to me right now, I got 4 teams that I think that I like the way they're playing. Gonzaga. Look, I picked against Gonzaga just because every Tom, Dick, and Harry had picked Gonzaga, and nobody has done what everybody's predicting them to do since 1976. Right. So we're going back 45 years with being undefeated and going through perfect. But, boy, you got to like the way they're playing. Yeah. I like the way Baylor is playing. They are a good, solid team. Alabama, when they make the 3-ball, are as good as anybody. They've got athletes. Now, one of their problems is they got Jones, whose best friend is Watford. Guess what Herb Jones is trying to do now? Show everybody he can shoot the 3, and he hadn't done it all year long. So he better not talk to Watford because they will lose. And a lot of Alabama fans are going, what are you doing, Herb? He was the player of the year and the defensive player of the year. Now he's trying to shoot the 3-ball. Right. And the other team that I am enamored with, well, 2 of them. You got to love Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago. What a great win for them to beat the in-state Illinois ball club. But I love watching me some Buddy Boeheim. And, man, you got to be impressed with the way Syracuse is playing. If you've got a good bracket going on and all 4 teams are still in at the Sweet 16, you're better than about 95% of the bracket pickers.
Right. Of course, there was millions of brackets filled out on ESPN. 0 were still perfect after Illinois got knocked off by Loyola Chicago. I saw a funny tweet that said, I wonder what the buyout is on Sister Jean to get her to switch allegiances because, I mean, she's magical. She has a two-way line direct to the man upstairs. And Loyola, I mean, a Cinderella team to say the least, knocks off the number 1. They'll play Oregon State in the Sweet 16 on Saturday. That's going to be another good matchup. The big man for Loyola, I mean, he couldn't celebrate that night because he had a truck to drive to Montana the next morning. I mean, the guy does not look like a basketball player, but he is solid in the middle, good offensively and defensively, a rim protector, and a big body.
I think he had 19 points, 12 rebounds, like 4 or 5 blocks, and 4 or 5 assists. He was fantastic. The great thing about Sister Jean is that the good Lord has not called her home yet, and she's 101 now. Yeah. Not only is she the chaplain and leads them in prayers, but she still is sharp enough to give them scouting reports. And she was telling them about Illinois. They shoot 30% here, and they can't do this, they can't do that. A lot of people were thinking maybe we should get Father Cleo Milano, Our Lady of Mercy, to follow LSU, and he can instill some good graces with Will Wade and the Tigers. But great good luck charm, classy lady, and it's been a lot of fun. I asked this question today, and I'll ask you. And I think a lot of LSU fans at this point, man, it's fun following them. When they win, you would not believe the number of messages I'm getting right before the game. Man, what you think? I'm so excited. I'm pumped. Of course, it was an up-down ride. You didn't know what LSU team was going to show up and which one was going to play the full 40 minutes. But now that LSU's out, do the Tiger fans lose some semblance of interest in the Sweet 16?
I don't think so. I mean, it's been so entertaining so far that even if your team is out, you still have a vested interest in the basketball tournament. My question is, if you're Coach Will Wade, what grade do you give this team's performance during the whole season? I mean, a team that was up and down. I mean, you mentioned 2 horrible losses to Alabama during the season, but then come back in the SEC tournament and lose by 1 point in a game you could have absolutely won. And this is a team in Alabama that is likely to reach the Final Four, if not the big dance. So it's just hard to look back and get a good grasp on what this year was. I think it was a success, 19-10, but a lot left on the table, I believe, for LSU, both offensively and never really established an identity outside of the dribble drive penetration, which, I mean, as you know, that could be taken away by a team with big men under the goal. I would have liked to see more offensive play calling or schemes or whatever you want to call it, a more organized offense than just dribble drop penetration. But hey, you never know. That might be why Will Wade gets all these guys to come in that are going to be NBA talents to say, look, you're going to get the ball at half court, you can dribble around, drive, and you try to score, and you can be a star here at LSU.
Well, one of the things that I was a little critical of Coach Wade is that he came out pretty much in the public and said, look, Cam can take a shot anywhere. And that, to me, all of a sudden, it's like you and I are playing against Marty and Allen, and you're taking like every shot, and all of a sudden I get the ball, and guess what? I'm not going to pass it back to you because I need to shoot one.
That's right.
So shot selection, the IQ on offense.
Yeah.
They had problems with rebounding. Now, I thought they rebounded a lot better in the last 4 or 5 games. As you alluded to, dribble, drive, penetration, defense did a real poor job on that. It sounded like in your voice, I was reading you giving them about a B-.
That's about exactly
What
where
were you
I am.
thinking?
B-. Yeah, I
B-?
would say B-, just because that team was so talented.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of the 2 guards, who probably the top 2-guard tandem in the league. Okay, so Cam Thomas, a phenom freshman, you give him the automatic green light, right? Whenever he's open, he can shoot. Whenever he feels like he make a shot, he can shoot. I understand that with a talent like Cam Thomas, but at the same time, when you play that position, you have to facilitate to the other guys just to get them going, keep them involved in the game, just so they're active on both sides of the ball, moving without the ball. You watch some of these offenses like Baylor, Gonzalez.
Loyola Chicago,
Gonzaga,
man, does it as well as anybody.
I mean, Gonzaga back cuts better than any college basketball team you've seen in a very long time. That's an old school move, but it works.
Yeah.
I mean, when you can use it effectively, it absolutely works. LSU just never really had their set offense, and I think it came back to bite them outside of the lack of depth. I mean, you talk about Michigan being out with one of their best guys in Livers. If LSU doesn't have one of the best, their top 4, they don't even compete against Michigan. So, I mean, it's tough to say. Maybe they overproduced for how limited the numbers were in the solid contributors. But I mean, it was a fun season to watch. They filled it up at times. The fast break was something special with this team, and they ran up and down the court. Darius Days, he could absolutely run for a big man. Then you had the 2 guards, and Trenton Wofford. I mean, the guy you mentioned is a tweener. I mean, he was guarding the big men for Michigan, but he's also a dynamic scorer. So it'll be interesting to see with everything LSU is going to lose out the door, what they'll have next season. And no better guy to tell you about that than the head coach, Will Wade. We have Will Wade here for you on Tigers Roar. We'll take a break, let you listen to the post-game comments from head coach. Here is Will Wade here on Tigers Roar. Well, they're going to get it up, man, because I trust that
head coach
truck.
Will Wade, and then go to questions. Use the raise hand function to indicate you would like to ask a question. When you're called on, please state your name and affiliation first. Coach, please give us a brief opening statement, and then we'll go right to questions.
Yeah, I thought it was a great game, high-level game. The game got away from us, I think, at the end of the first half. We had a pretty good working margin. We got off to a great start and had a great working margin, and then, to be down 1 at half. We went on a scoring drought there for 4 or 5 minutes, and we got the lead in the second half by 6, and they made some huge threes. We just had some poor closeouts, some poor switches below the ball, and we weren't able to overcome them. But our guys played hard. Our guys gave it all they had. I'm proud of them for everything they've accomplished this year and fighting through the season.
And we will go to questions from the media. Please use the raise hand function to indicate you'd like to ask a question. Our first question is from Kevin McCaskill Jr., FP Sports.
Yes, Kevin McCaskill Jr., FP Sports, Springfield, Massachusetts. Why didn't Josh Gray play tonight?
Well, we just felt like we needed to keep the floor spaced, and having Days in there, and Days didn't get in a ton of foul trouble till the end. And Dickinson didn't hurt us as bad as we were expecting down there. Our doubles were pretty good, so just was in the flow of the game. It wasn't one of those games where we felt like we needed him right now.
Can I ask one follow-up? He's like a real big energy guy, though. He can give you a lot on the offensive rebounding. Just you didn't have any thought to play him tonight?
No, we thought maybe going into the game we were going to play him, but just with the flow of the game, it didn't work out that way.
Our next question is from Michael Cobble, WBRZ TV.
Will, you mentioned it, just the game getting away from you. Do you think it was a little bit of, running out of gas? Y'all played so well in the first half, and the inability to sustain it. And then their ability to, I guess, affect shots at the rim also seemed to, let y'all settle for some perimeter shots.
Yeah, I think, we played 2 guys 40 minutes. I thought their run coincided with us having those guys out there a long time at the end of the first half. And then, in the second half, we kind of ran out of gas the last 10 minutes. So I do think probably that had something to do with it.
Our Next question is from Glenn West.
Hey, Will, Glenn West with LSU Country here. Just, talk about Javante's game. I mean, he really seemed to carry you guys in that second half. And even when you got down a little bit, he just really seemed to be a force for you guys throughout the entire night. Just talk about, his performance and, just how he was able to keep you guys in the game there.
Yeah, I mean, he stepped up and played great. I mean, he was tremendous, especially in the second half. He made plays. I think he had 6-7 assists, 1 turnover. He did a great job controlling the game, controlling our team, and he was phenomenal. So, very, 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 very proud of him, and he just capped off a great season.
Next question is from Sheldon Nichols.
Hey, Will, you mentioned the game got away at the end of the first half, but in the second half you kind of regrouped. You had a 6-point lead. What about 15 and a half minutes ago? What happened in those next 10 minutes that kind of got away from you there?
Well, we just couldn't we couldn't string together enough stops we could just never string together enough stops to make a run and to make it to expand our lead. We could never get the lead above 10 in the first half. Second half, after we got the 6-point lead, we gave up a couple threes. We missed a floater in the lane. We could never sustain what we were doing.
Next question is from Scott Rabelais, the Baton Rouge Advocate.
Well, people said Michigan looked a little vulnerable, maybe because they were missing Livers, one of their best players, but they outscored you 26-2 off the bench. Is that something that's kind of indicative of this game? Was that something you were worried about, that they just come at you with a lot of players?
Yeah, I mean, Shondy Brown's a great player. We knew that. And, they're a great team. They're a tremendous, tremendous team. Coach Howard and their staff, their offensive execution, the way they move, the way they guard, they're a very, very good team. They're going to be an extremely tough out for anybody.
Our next question is from Billy Embody, 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Will, what will you remember most about this season? Ed Orgeron talked about what he took away from it, just going through all the protocols and everything. What are you going to look back and take away from it?
Just how hard our guys fought. I mean, we went through so much, so many things on and off the court. Just how hard they fought to get in. I mean, we got in 29 games. Just to get into 29 games, man, every day was a battle, and these kids battled, and wanted to play, and wanted to be great. And we started peaking at the right time. We just happens. You get a tough draw and a great team like this. It's a high-level game, and it can go either way, and they just made a few more shots and a few more plays than we did. But our guys really, really battled all season, and I told them I told them how much I appreciate that, in the locker room after the game.
Our next question is from Ron Higgins.
Yeah, well, did Michigan show on film they could shoot the three that well? In the second half, it seemed like when they hit those 2 threes in a row, and every time you came up with a basket, they answered with a three. Did they show on film they could shoot the three ball that well?
Well, yeah. They lead the Big Ten in three-point shooting. But, you can't take away everything, and we've kind of lived and died by giving up some threes all year. And, we had to give something up to take away the points in the paint, to take away everything in the post, and that's what we did. But the threes they hit on the runs were really weren't inside out threes. They were off the bounce threes, poor switch outs, things of that nature. So that was stuff that we can control that we didn't do a good enough job on.
Our next question is from Sheldon Nichols.
Hey, Will, it looks like y'all did a pretty good job on Dickinson in the first half. You look like you frustrated him a little bit. Did you feel good about that matchup at halftime, that y'all had switched players a lot, defenders?
Yeah, I thought we did a good job trapping him, confusing him down there, making him work. We had active hands, and then when we got tired, they just got way too comfortable. I think they had 13 assists on 16 made baskets. The problem in the first half was our closeouts, them driving our closeouts, and we just did a poor job with that.
Our next question is from Paul Boron.
Hi, Coach. Paul Warren from Cox Sports Television. I know a couple times this season you talked about, this is a team I expected to see, and then you would have some lulls. Do you feel like tonight you went out kind of giving your best shot and the best of what your team could be?
Yeah, I think we went out, we played well. We ran into a great team. It wasn't like, we could have done some things differently. We could have, we made a few more shots, finished a few more in the lane, we had a few better switches defensively. We certainly could have won the game, but I can't fault our guys' effort and how hard they played, and we were prepared and ready to go. We couldn't sustain it for 40 minutes.
Our final question is from Michael Cobble.
Well, this is likely going to be the final game, obviously, that this group plays together, but for some of your star players, I guess just could you talk about the future of LSU basketball as you see it, and maybe some of the plans of how you start the process of moving forward?
We've certainly going to lose, some very, very good players. We've got some talented young kids in the program that we feel really good about. We're going to try to mix in some veteran guys here in the spring, have 2 or 3 scholarships to mess around with, and get some talented veteran guys to join our young core. That's really good. So we've got to keep the young core together, keep those guys together, get those guys in the gym, and get back to work, and add a couple veteran pieces. And I think we can be right back where we are tonight.
On Tigers Roar, that was head coach Will Wade after the 19-10 season from the LASU Tigers. You heard him, his last statement was about what the future of the program looks like. Will Wade said he has a very talented group of young players, going to look to get some veteran guys in with a few scholarships they had to play around with. But they're going to be a lot leaving the door. So what do you expect from the Tigers here moving forward?
By the way, I'm going to give Coach Wade a B for this year, and I will say this, if Dick Vitale and Carl Ravitch see this, I would not be making any reservations at any restaurants in Baton Rouge anytime soon. That was ridiculous, the hit job that they did on LSU basketball and Will Wade. Guess that was the first game against St. Bonnie. Or maybe it was the SEC championship game against Alabama.
Right.
That all being said, he will certainly be active in the transfer portal. They'll get some players in there, but man, when you see this offense, how much fun they were to watch, it's going to be hard to get the offensive guys back in that can produce. I thought Smart played his best year by far.
Oh, yeah.
Drop back, step back, 3 ball was great this year. Watford had his moments, selfish at times, lazy at times, but played a heck of a game at the back end. Days when he was hot, didn't hit the rim. And, of course, Cam Thomas, the only negative about Cam is that you kind of wish that Coach Wade would have called him over and said, look, I know you made your first 4 or 5, drive to the hole. That's really one of the keys in this game against Michigan. He drove to the basket and got contact.
Right.
They did not call those fouls against Michigan in the second half, and that hurt them a little bit. But, yeah, it'll be a reload, and we'll see how it turns out. I think it's too early to project right now.
We'll take a break, then come back and talk some LSU baseball. Coach Paul Mainieri just comes off a series against Mississippi State, a very talented SEC team, ranked in the top 5 in the country. Of course, doesn't slow down. SEC play is always a struggle in baseball. Of course, LSU was supposed to play Tulane last night in New Orleans. It got canceled due to weather. So this coming weekend, go to Tennessee, take on the Volunteers. We'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go anywhere. This is Tigers Roar.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are 2 busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Of all the auto brands on the road today, only one has been named the best auto brand for 6 straight years. That brand is Mazda. Come shop and save on the award-winning lineup of new Mazdas right now at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
I've seen a lot of things during my life, more bad things than good. I've lived in a lot of places, but never a home. I don't think anybody cares about me anymore. And now I'm tired. Signed, Brian, age 11.
Abused and neglected children in East Baton Rouge Parish are in dire need of CASA volunteers. Please call 379-8598 today. Change a life of hurt into a life of hope.
Hello. Hola. 你好.
Experience what the Baton Rouge International School can offer your children. Now welcoming displaced students for short and long-term stability.
We continue here on Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche joined by the Budman, Buddy Songy, ready to talk some LSU baseball. The Tigers currently sit at 16-5 on the season, 1-2 in the SEC if they drop the series to Mississippi State Bulldogs, a very talented team, both offensively, but Budman, that bullpen for Mississippi State is special. I mean, that is an elite bullpen. If you're down by 3-4 runs going into the 7th inning, you don't have much of a shot against the Bulldogs.
Lights out.
Yeah.
Listen, I have never seen it at this point where you're starting conference play, where the SEC has had 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 nationally ranked in the polls. Most of you know you got to get it in the top 8 at the end of the year to host the Super Regional. Look, I took a drive on the Mississippi River Bridge just to go over the bridge, and I saw 43 reservations for people that had claimed their spots, and they were going to jump if LSU had not beat Mississippi State in the Sunday night game. Right. Let's be honest, baseball fans, they live it, they love it, they inhale it, they breathe it. They want to go to Omaha. They had some, it's 50% now attendance, and these really weak parameters from LSU on tailgating. Did you hear this one? Oh, you can have 15 people tailgate as long as they're all family members. Did you read that one?
No.
So kind of crazy with the left of LSU, which is getting more and more left, as we know. That all being said, it's all about timely hitting. It's all about playing sound, sophisticated ball. And this team still leading the country as of this week with 37 home runs. They've given up 12. But their batting average was over 300 earlier in the year, and the ERA was under 3. Well, Guess what? Hitting 275 now, and the ERA is just under 4. So, gotta get something from Jaden Hill. He's not consistent enough. Now, he went 106 pitches last week, and
I
lost
thought that
a
was
tough
a
one.
pretty dominant.
Landon Marceau has not given up an earned run this year.
What, 31? 30?
31 in the third innings or something like that. Yeah. And of course, as we know, A.J. Levis finally got his first victory. He's been snake bit. You love Dylan Cruz. You love Cade Doty. But, man, at Tennessee, they're also top 10. And then Vanderbilt comes in next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Kumar Rocker, Tracy's son, awesome. That'll be something to see him and Jaden Hill going at it. But I got to be honest with you. I don't know how many games over 500 LSU will be in conference play. Right. That league is that good this year.
Right. I mean, you talk about all the home runs LSU is hitting, and when you're hitting them, that's outstanding. You think you're on top of the world. You think your offense is going to be great all season. But when you need that timely hit and you don't get the long fly, who's going to scratch over a run, like get a base hit to the gap? Dylan Cruz has been phenomenal. I mean, the right field stands at LSU, Alex Fox Stadium, they've been rocking because they love Dylan Cruz. I mean, yeah, they didn't get baseball last year. It's cool they have the student section in right field, but it's really Dylan Cruz. Yep. Coach Paul Maneri said in the press conference, it's almost like Sammy Sosa when he went to Wrigley. I mean, those fans love Sammy Sosa. They were so pumped up to see him, to be close to him. They were in the game the entire time. Dylan Cruz, you see why he was that highly touted as a high school player. I mean, the guy was hot coming into LSU, but has not disappointed.
No.
He has been phenomenal at the plate and in the field for the Tigers. Cade Doty, I mean, the kid has a beautiful home run swing. It's a lot of power from that back half. Throws those hands violently through the stadium. And look, I mean, through the zone, and that ball flies out the stadium. His exit velocity is well over 100. LSU was crushing the ball. All right, we saw him come back late against Texas San Antonio twice in the series, extend the extra innings games, had those clutch home runs. You cannot depend in the SEC on the long ball. Chicks do dig the long ball, and it's great when they're flying out, but you have to be able to manufacture runs. Play some small ball if you have to. Lay down a bunt, get a guy over, and then get that sacrifice fly. I mean, that's what it takes to win baseball games in the SEC.
Well, and the other thing that we've got to add into the conversation is that Coach Maneri has got to get a different crystal ball when he's making pitching decisions in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Now, look, the good thing is that Devin Fontenot, the last couple times out, has looked like the old Devin Fontenot.
Yep.
And when he's on, he's as good as anybody, except maybe that Mississippi State guy I saw on Friday and Saturday. He was outstanding. Garrett Edwards has done some good things. Ty Floyd, 3 batters, strikes him out, and then he loses it. So relief pitching, finishing games, base running, timely hitting, all of that. JP, right now, if you took me to the casino in Las Vegas, I'm looking at LSU winning 15 or 16 in the conference, which probably means hosting a regional, but traveling to a sub-regional unless they can really have a better season than the SEC than I think they will.
And I don't mean to beat on a guy. Alex Milazzo, a fantastic defensive catcher, great behind the plate, can throw guys out, has a rocket arm. Severely struggling at the plate this year. I mean, it seems like every time he comes up, it's a 3-pitch out. And I mean, I'm not trying to get down on the kid. I know baseball is a long season. You can make adjustments, but his at-bats are hurting the Tigers right now. It's hard to hide him in a lineup to where you're trying to flip over a lineup in the middle of the game, and that is right now an out. I mean, it's an out.
Well, the other thing, too, now, not to interrupt you, but Travinsky did get some reps there, and also Maneri moved Dylan from the leadoff batter to the 3-hole to see more pitches.
Right.
Look, he's been tweaking the lineup, put a new second baseman there right at the start of the SEC, so the tweaking's going on a little bit more.
Right.
But
that was my point. They have to figure out a different lineup moving forward. And Maneri's not scared to do that. I mean, he can move guys up and down the lineup, and you saw him do it a little bit, but there's more work to be done. This is a very talented roster, but the SEC is loaded with major league talent. I mean, every SEC game, you're going to see 2-3 guys that are going to play at the next level at some form of baseball. It's just a very tough stretch. Cade Beloso, another guy who has unlimited talent hitting the baseball, still struggling at the plate right now. He could turn it around. It's still early in the season. I mean, one SEC series down, a lot more baseball to be played. LSU does have the talent, but these guys need to pick it up. Need to pick it up soon. You mentioned Tennessee and then Vanderbilt, 2 premier teams in the league. It's not going to get any easier for the Tigers.
Everybody in the West loaded. Ole Miss good. We saw how good Mississippi State is. Arkansas good. LSU does not play Florida, which is certainly a top 5 team, but obviously Vandy comes in here in a couple of weekends. And it's been a fun team because, you know, I love the T-shirt that we brought a couple of weeks ago, Chicks Dick Long Ball. But you got to finish some games with some relief pitching and obviously doing those little small things. You know, it's amazing. We had this discussion last week. But and you're around youngsters and small ball and growing up all the way till you get to high school and college. Why can't LSU teach these guys to be able to put a sack bunt down when needed? It's real simple. You get the bat at the angle and boom, all of a sudden the ball is going this way on the ground, not popped up or whatever, and it seems like it's just been a chore
Yep.
And Maneri doesn't like to play that, so instead he goes hit and run. Sometimes you got to manufacture some runs and play station to station.
That's exactly right. Here is head coach Paul Maneri. He spoke on Monday about the Mississippi State series. He had a lot of comments, including that he still believes in Cade Beloso. Here is the head coach for LSU Tigers baseball team, Paul Maneri.
Certain relief pitchers that they use when they're ahead and certain relief pitchers when they're losing. For college coaches, it's much more of a dilemma. It's especially a dilemma on Friday because, do you use your top relief arms if you're behind on Friday? Because if you never come back and tie the game or take the lead and you use up your best arms just to keep the game close, that you may end up losing. And now you put yourself at a disadvantage in a game that you potentially could win the next day or the day after that. Is that the most prudent route to take? And there's been plenty of times when I've taken that route, believe me. A lot of times it's because you have such a good offensive team that you believe that you can overcome the deficit, or because the other team's pitcher is the kind of pitcher that you think you can get to, or the conditions are such, the wind's galing out and you feel like you can eventually score enough runs, or your team's really swinging the bat in a very confident and hot way, But the other night on Friday night, the wind was galing in. I didn't think, we were going to be able to get a guy on and boom, blast a 2-run homer, because it just seemed like it was going to be impossible to hit a home run that night. And, so I didn't want to go to our pen and use our top guys. And, so I tried to get a little extra out of Jaden. I probably left him in, probably 2 batters too long. Maybe I shouldn't have sent him out there for the 8th inning at all. He was at 85 pitches after 7 innings. I thought he still had it. I didn't think I was putting him in any kind of danger physically, and I thought he was still throwing the ball well. The first batter got a fairly legitimate hit. The second batter on a 3-2 pitch just kind of stuck his bat out and hit a weak ground ball, through the hole between the shortstop and third baseman. I probably could have taken him out right there, but I thought, if he could get this guy and also face Hancock, who I thought was their one power threat, and plus the wind, if there was going to be a ball hit out, was going to have to be right fielder to the line, which is what Skinner had done earlier in the game. And I really wanted Jaden to face Hancock if we could have that happen. Well, then the kid hits a bloop single. And so I have him face Hancock. He gets Hancock to pop up. So then I bring in McHale, and McHale does his job really through a first pitch strike, and the catcher ambushed it and, hit a ground ball that found a hole. If the ball's 20 feet more to this side, it's a double play ball. But, in baseball, sometimes they find the holes, sometimes they're right at people. And it found a hole, and it was a 2-run single. And, all of a sudden we're down by 4. But McHale, I thought, threw the ball good after that. It was probably his best curveball he's had all year. And, I thought he did okay. And, the next night I thought we brought in Kaminer, and he got the left-hander out. Will Helmers, he walked the leadoff batter. Outside of that, I thought he threw the ball good. He got a big strikeout. He had a bad luck when the runner moved to third base on a ball in the dirt and then scored, on an infield hit. And then, of course, yesterday, I thought our bullpen was terrific with Ty Floyd and Fontenot. So, if we're limited to the guys, the first 4 or 5 guys, I feel really good about our bullpen. You just got to be in the game and have a chance to win to be able to use those guys.
Thanks, back to me. Paul, this will, of course, if y'all are able to get the game in tomorrow, be the first time y'all played Tulane since 2018. So does this mean that the home and home is coming back? Or is it still kind of up in the air what might happen moving forward after this year?
Well, we've have agreed to play home and away, but alternate years. So we're only playing one game a year, and we just alternate the sites each year. So our home game got canceled last year. So this year we're going to play there. And if the game gets canceled, the next year we'd be back at our place in 22. So, but we're going to still keep our fingers crossed and hope that we can get this game in.
Okay, Jack, you're up.
Hey, Coach, how's it going today? It looks like we're about 24 hours after our first series. I just want to know, what were you most proud of your team after your first conference series?
Well, obviously, there's a big difference between going 0-3 and 1-2. I know everybody's disappointed that we didn't win the series. All of us are, the players, the coaches, certainly the fans are. But when you're 0-2 and staring at a possibility of losing all three, winning that final game is very critical. It's a big difference between going 0-3 and 1-2. So, when you go home on Saturday night and you've scored one run in two games against a extremely strong pitching staff, and you're facing a guy throwing 96 miles an hour the next day, you don't have to use a lot of imagination to think the worst thing that could happen. And, our guys came out and competed really hard. I was so proud of AJ Labus for giving his team a chance to win. And then, we scratched for a couple runs there in the first inning. It wasn't anything to, to write a book about. We didn't even get a hit in the first inning, but we showed a good eye and drew a couple walks. And Dylan Cruz with 2 strikes put a ball in play to be able to advance the runners. Their pitcher threw a wild pitch to allow a run to score, but then Gavin Dugas, which we didn't do the day before, put a ball in play. He put a ball in play and scored the runner from third base. So situational hitting there got us a second run. So we gave up the lead. The score got tied, but then I thought Gavin Dugas came through with just a huge home run for us, as important a home run as we've hit all year, and we've hit several home runs, as you know. And then what I was really proud of too was, Trey Morgan, who's been struggling, came through with a really big RBI hit, hustled it into a double. Then Brody Drost, who had been having a really tough day, got 2 strikes on him and then hit the big home run. Later on, we got a big 2-run double from Jordan Thompson. The bullpen was terrific. I mean, there were a lot of things to be proud about yesterday and a lot of things to build upon. And I know I use a lot of cliches, but these were just 3 games out of 30. So whether you win a series, lose a series, at the end of the day, they all count the same in a 30-game schedule. So if, you go out and you sweep somebody that people didn't expect you to sweep, or you win a series that people didn't expect you to win, then you made up for not winning a series at home, so to speak. So at the end of the year, you're going to look at the final standings. You're not going to look at each individual series and say, well, they won this series or lost this series. And that's the goal, So, this was one in the win column, and it feels a lot better than if we were having this press conference sitting here being 0-3. I can assure you there's still a lot of baseball to play this year. We got a lot of big games ahead of us. You think about opening up this SEC schedule. What was Tennessee ranked 13th going in? Mississippi State was ranked 13th going into yesterday. No, third or second. Next week, we play Tennessee, who I think is ranked 11th today in the poll. And then we play Vanderbilt, who's ranked number 1 in the poll. You think about this league, there's no time to feel sorry for yourself. It's a very unforgiving league. So all you can do is pick yourself up off the ground and get ready for tomorrow. And that's the way you got to approach it. If you want to sit around and feel sorry for yourself, you're gonna be in for a tough time. So I was really proud of our guys that they got up off the ground after losing 2 in a row and came back and played a good solid game. I thought they played really good baseball all weekend. We just didn't hit enough in the first 2 games. It's really that simple. We made a couple little mistakes here and there that in a low scoring type ball game can make the difference between winning and losing.
Back to Glenn.
Hey, Coach. Yeah. Hey, Coach, you mentioned the lineup. We know you've been tinkering a lot with that this year, but this was, kind of the first time we got to see Morgan in that leadoff spot and Cruz in that 3-hole. I'm just curious for your initial impressions of just kind of the new look, and also just was the Cade Beloso thing just kind of a day off for him, just a chance to regroup? Do you expect him to be back very soon?
Yeah, well, Cade, there's no secret that Cade's been struggling. And, I've stuck with him. I've stuck with him through hell and high water, all year. And he's really been struggling. And he's a veteran guy and a great competitor. And he's been a great hitter. His freshman year, he hit 11 home runs. But I just felt that after Saturday night, he was in such a rut that he just wasn't ready to give us anything on Sunday. And I thought maybe Brody could give us a spark, and he certainly did with the 2-run homer. But I actually just came in from the field. I met with Cade this morning, and we just had a little private session with him on the field, made some adjustments with him, with his mechanics. And he just had the best batting practice he's had in several months, really. I'm not giving up on Cade Beloso, I can assure you of that. And the kid is a great competitor, and I know what he's capable of doing. We went back and looked at a lot of video from his freshman year and compared it to the video of this year. And really, there were several things that jumped out to me. And, I took a lot of initiative in showing these things to he and Eddie. And we worked on it as a group, and try to make those adjustments. Now, batting practice is certainly different than being in there and facing 93 miles an hour. But I just feel that we're on to something, and that Cade feels better about himself today than he did a couple days ago. And, I'm not sure what the lineup will be like our next game, but I can assure you I'm not giving up on Cade Beloso. And I don't think we can win a championship, to be honest with you, without Cade Beloso being a major factor in it. So, let's hope that he turns it around for the Tigers and for himself.
Okay, that was head coach Paul Mainieri as they get ready to take on the Tennessee Volunteers up in Knoxville, 6:30 on Friday, 6 o'clock Saturday, 1 p.m. start on Sunday. All available to watch on SEC Network. Don't go anywhere. We have a lot more here on Tigers Roar, including Mike Scarborough from TigerBait.com joining us in the next segment. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. This is Tigers Roar.
Taste the feeling.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Cantea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Cantea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Team Honda wants to thank you for once again making us Louisiana's #1 new car dealer by offering you never-before-seen savings. For the first time ever, get 0% financing up to 60 months on some of your favorite Honda models. Get thousands in savings right now at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
And we welcome you back. As always, we like to wrap it up with a little LSU recruiting news. And JP, always happy to have Mike Scarborough. We had him on radio earlier, and now we bring him back on TV on this Wednesday, March the 24th. Good afternoon, Mike, and how are you doing on this hump day?
Doing good. Just excited with all the sports that are happening in the LSU world. It's keeping us real busy.
Hey, JP, Mike's got a little bit of a tease for the LSU football fans. Mike, you feel pretty sure LSU is going to get another verbal commitment, and let's talk about how they're doing right now, where they stand for the 2022 class, and specifically who's making an announcement tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, look, LSU class of 2022 is one of the top 2 or 3 classes in the country, depending on when you look at the ranking on the national networks. I think it's got a very good chance at vying for the top spot on National Signing Day with how loaded Louisiana is. 10 commitments right now. And Tyge Hill from Edna Carr, who's about 6'2", 6'3", 290 to 300 pounds, is going to announce his decision tomorrow at 1:30, and we expect it to be LSU. Ed Orgeron and staff have done a fantastic job with him. And, he had cut his list down to a top 10, I guess, about a month or so ago. He's got Alabama, Florida, and the usual suspects in there, Florida State, and so on. But I do believe it's going to be LSU, unless I pick up something contrary this evening or in the morning. But he's been trending LSU's way for a while.
JP, one of the things that we all agreed on last year, LSU had to get better at the line of scrimmage. Mike, talk about they only signed 2 offensive linemen. You've already seen Garrett Dellinger out at practice. Kimo McAnally is coming in the summertime. But talk about this class in 2022, because I know you're fired up about some of these old linemen coming in.
Yeah, I looked at just, Garrett Dellinger, at practice last Thursday, and when you see him amongst the other group of offensive linemen, and just standing on the hoof, his height, body type, he sure looks like a guard to me. Maybe he can be a right tackle, but that's one of the questions throughout the whole recruiting year last year was, can he be a left tackle? And to me, that's one of a situation right there where, because of COVID, there was no camps. You didn't get to see him on the sideline in pregame because kids were allowed to come on official visits and so forth. I think that to me, he looks like a guard body. Just seeing him out there, but maybe he can be a right tackle. We'll wait to see.
And, of course, the other guys coming in all have a great affection towards Walker Howard. If you could, Mike, did you know early on, and JP Mike's been telling me about Walker Howard, of course, the son of Jamie Howard, and boy, I had a chance to see him a little bit. He's just getting bigger and better, and him and Besh were beasts to defend the last couple of years. But just talk about Walker Howard, what he brings to the table, and how he has been the catalyst for this 2022 class, Mike.
Yeah, I think he's now right at 190 pounds. He's put on a significant amount of weight since the end of last football season. What people don't know is not only did he have COVID last year, but he had a couple of other illnesses that every time he put on 8 pounds, he'd lose it. But now he's through all that, and he's at 190, right at 190. So, look, one thing I noticed early on with Walker, and not just seeing him amongst his teammates at St. Thomas More. When I saw him at the opening a couple of springs back, it was held at East St. John. And of course, he wasn't even a starter yet at St. Thomas More. Just all the other prospects that were there at the camp that day gravitating towards him. He's just got that kind of personality about him, and so I think he is absolutely a big draw. I think he's going to be one of those kids throughout the summer, between Will Campbell, Bordelon, Emory Jones. I think you're going to see a lot of kids getting together with him in Lafayette to work out and do things throughout the summer. I think Jamie Howard's house in Lafayette is going to end up being like a hotel for all of Walker's recruit buddies.
Mike, I have a son that goes to De La Salle. They played STM in the state championship. Walker Howard put on a show. Of course, Jack Besh had a great game as well. I was talking to Rohan Davey not long after that state championship game, and he was saying, he worked out with Walker Howard, and that kid's making throws in high school that kids in college wish they could make. He could absolutely make any throw on the field. In my opinion, a body that's ready to transition to the next level, no?
Yep. And I was at one of Rohan Davies' events where he had Walker there with Shelton Sampson and Jaden Osbury and others. So he's absolutely right. Recruiting isn't an exact science, but when I saw him in that first time, I saw him in the 9th grade at Turlings, where he played 2 games back-to-back. Played the freshman game, switched jerseys, and then played the JV game 2 games in a row at Turlings. He had the it factor, and I had never seen a quarterback in Louisiana at that age that it was just so obvious. And I think that's why he's all the other networks are behind the learning curve with Tiger Bait, because we've had him as a 5-star for a year.
Right.
Hey, you said you went out to practice, Mike. A lot of people wanting to know what you saw with the naked eye, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. I know we're limited to about 20 minutes, and you're shooting a lot of film, and obviously there's a lot of stuff that LSU sends us as well when we're not there. But give me a little breakdown after 4 practices so far.
Well, look, I think Mason Smith, obviously being the newcomer and a 5-star prospect who's out there, is turning heads. And Coach Orgeron singling him out multiple times already in the media Zoom calls that he's had with us is very telling. The package that they sent us last night, the way he's moving, we said going into spring that he was one of the top 5 guys that would make an impact as a freshman. And so far, now in the second week of spring practice, Ed Orgeron continues to confirm that possibility. Seeing Derek Stingley out there, he looks in incredible shape. I think, obviously having some running backs dinged up, but the quarterbacks look special. And, look, I even got to see Peyton Todd on last Thursday. Usually we never get to see specialists. The specialists are usually indoors when the media are let in. He looks great coming off his injury from last season. So, knock on wood, the biggest part of spring is to get through it without anybody having any injuries that's going to cause them to miss any time next football season. So, as far as we know, knock on wood, like I said, they start off good so far within that department.
Mike, I think we both agree that for the Tigers to have success next season, they're going to depend on the quarterback play and also the coaching. LSU brings in some new coordinators. What is your feel around the facility about how these guys are coming in, fitting in with the team, and then also about those quarterbacks? I was watching some highlights with my wife, and she looked at Miles Brennan and said, wow, that guy's getting big. I mean, he's putting on some pounds. Talk about the quarterbacks, how they're looking, and also how these coordinators are coming in and gelling with the team.
Yeah, all we can go by is just what we see in the interaction, what Ed Orgeron's relayed to us. We've heard nothing but positives, so we'll just see if they continue to grow on that. Of course, Ed Orgeron, made things a little spicy yesterday when he said lessons learned from last year that to interview coaches before he hires them. That's got everybody riled up and scratching their head. But
are you serious?
What's that?
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I was playing off of Rufino's site, my man.
Yeah.
Who of course does some Facebook with us. Yeah, and Mike, look, one thing about it is that he said he learned some lessons, and then he proceeded to say some other things that he probably shouldn't have said. I guess the question is, Mike, do you care when these things are slipped out? Mike got 4 phone calls from out of state. I did as well. Did he really say that he hired some coaches last year that he did not interview? Mike, you had a better explanation about it than I did.
Well, I mean, my first thought was, okay, what did he do different? Well, did he really need to have Bo Pelini work up a resume from CareerBuilder.com? And did he need Bo Pelini to fly in and sit across from him at the desk for him to interview him, traditional style, like everyone one of us in business would hire somebody? I think that's what he meant. Pelini was a known quantity. I don't know that there's anything he could have done in a traditional interview sense that would have changed whether he would have gotten hired or not. Maybe had he scrutinized Linehan more, maybe that would have been different, and maybe have Ensminger in on the interview to see if those two could have gotten along and if it was a mesh. I mean, I tend to think, on the hiring of a passing game coordinator, that maybe that Ensminger should have been the guy after he had worked with somebody as special as Joe Brady.
JP, it's always weird to see a big guy wear a single-digit number. First time in history that Mason Smith is wearing the 0, and I think he's going to stand out, Mike.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is be a 5-star that doesn't pan out and you're wearing the number 0. People can have some fun with you, but I don't think there's any chance of that happening with Mason Smith. I think he's going to live up to the billing, and Ed Orgeron's certainly excited about him.
By the way, as we are listening to you and talking to you, we're seeing some of the film that we have JP put up there from practice. And, I know they want more out of the tight end, and they feel good about the depth at the D-line and the O-line. Mike, is it linebacker, safety, tight end, and obviously some depth at running back?
Yeah, running back will go off the table. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. And then you're going to get 2 good ones in June. Linebacker will be the question mark, but, you really only need 2 good ones. So, I don't know. Safety, they've got some answers there. I think that's why when you start looking at this team and what they've got coming back, the additions that you're going to get in June, the schedule. I think that's why everybody's looking at LSU and like one of the callers to your show earlier today, thinking it's 10 wins minimum.
Of course, JP, we mentioned the quarterback. JP, if we all flew to Vegas, who would you think would take the first snap against UCLA?
I put money on Miles Brennan.
Miles Brennan. I'm a Max Johnson guy. Mike, you got somebody else you want to throw in the mix?
Man, look, I've talked to some people who think there's a real scenario where Miles Brennan finishes third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, the great thing about it is you got a new offense, you got new coordinator and a new passing game coordinator, you got most of you guys back. You know that they have the skill talent with running backs and wide receivers. Look, Cole Taylor and other guys, they got to develop some tight ends. They are going to use the fullback a little bit, but I'm excited to see what this offense. Coach O was saying yesterday, JP and Mike, they will have 5 wideouts, which means that everybody goes out and you only have that front 5 blocking. So that's why I like Max Johnson. I think you need to have a guy that can give you the ability to make a play with his feet.
You know what I do notice, and of course we were limited. We've had one practice, but I did see Jake Peets out there in the way he was operating at practice, being very similar to the way Joe Brady was out on an LSU practice field. So that might be a really, really good sign.
Right. Yeah, I mean, DJ Mangus, the new passing game coordinator, he had an interview with Cody Warsham, and he was talking about how Brady had the summer of 10,000 catches, and perhaps LSU would go to the summer of 11,000 catches this year. A lot of drop passes in the 2020 season, and that's something LSU didn't do in 2019. Of course, they made it to the big dance, won the whole thing. So LSU got to shore it up on the outside, but no lack of talent on the outside. Of course, you have.
Yeah, I'm looking at Georgia losing their top receiver to an ACL, and I don't know who you would have ahead of Kayshon Boutte as far as all SEC wide receiver going into the season. So, and so you're going to have great quarterback play, a veteran offensive line. There's a whole lot to be excited about.
Let's tell everybody about the benefits of being a subscriber to TigerBait.com, Mike.
Loads of video, lots of tidbits being dropped on our Tiger Den premium message board, text alerts, newsletters. Of course, check out our Facebook and YouTube live show every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. And we've got you covered at TigerBait.com, football, baseball, basketball coverage. We're going to dive into some basketball recruiting as Will Wade looks to replenish what he's going to lose from this season in the coming weeks. So if you're an LSU fan, try TigerBait.com for $1. And like I always say, choose the annual package. When you do that, you basically get 3 months of Tiger Bait free. And so we want to have you, if you're an LSU fan, as a premium subscriber and a part of our community.
I have not broken the camera yet, but we'll be doing Facebook Live Thursday night at 8 o'clock. A lot of questions, JP. And, I think most of the LSU fans are like all of us. You can talk football 24/7, 365.
Yep. I've actually viewed into that Facebook Live. Great stuff from you and Mike. It's very entertaining, very informative. And, boy, man, you don't look that bad on TV. Come on. You're not even wearing your shades when you're with Mike. Must be in a good mood.
I have not wore the shades, but I got a little surprise tomorrow on some of the props that we bring. But Mike does a great job. Got a great audience, both Facebook and all the social media apps. And it's interesting. We just saw LSU get beat in basketball, but that was a great run. Omaha is still iffy this year, but that's a long ways away. And Mike is sitting here telling everybody that ask him, JP, minimum 9 or 10 wins. I think they're going to be favored in 9 or 10 games. The question is, can they get back to feeling their oats and playing a little bit close to the way they did in 19? Now, listen, I'm never going to see another Joe Burrow in my lifetime, and you may not be either. But, Mike, having 4 quarterbacks and having this philosophy that came from Joe Brady, I'm excited to see what LSU does on offense this year.
I just don't see any way that LSU's quarterback situation isn't strong. Whether it's Miles Brennan who ends up number 1 and T.J. Finley 2 and Johnson 3 or whatever formula you want to come with. Johnson 1, Brennan 2, however it shakes out, the competition is so robust that LSU is going to end up with a quality starter and a quality backup.
Yep.
And if your quality starter, the guy who you think won the job in camp, falters, whoever's going to come in and replace him, I think it's going to be really good. So LSU's in a great situation at quarterback. And I think minimum of 10 wins. I think LSU's going to be favored in every game but one. And then at midterm, you get Walker Howard. It looks like they've got everything figured out in Lafayette at St. Thomas More to allow him to graduate early. I think he's got to take a math course via correspondence with Texas Tech University in order to get it done. So kudos to the folks at the diocese in Lafayette to getting that worked out.
www.tigerbait.com. Good stuff, Mike. We'll talk with you again next week, my friend.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, talk then. Thanks.
And you know, it's interesting. We talk about going back, and I'm just talking about from a philosophical standpoint. And this is, I watched a lot of ball once LSU decided not to play in the bowl game. And I just like in college. Now, look, this is even becoming more prevalent in the pro game, but I like a guy, A, that has pocket presence, but B, that can make a plate with his feet. And I think Miles Brennan's got to get a little bit better there.
Yep.
You talked about your wife noticing his weight gain. How much is that his muscle? How much is that sports talk host weight? I'm excited about spring ball, and they've got a couple scrimmages coming up here that will dictate the depth chart.
Well, we brought you a lot of information here on Tigers Roar. We covered basketball, baseball, football. I want to take you down a trip down memory lane. Budman, 20 years ago to the day, we sit here on March 24th, a significant event in Major League Baseball by one of the most dominant left-handed pitchers to ever take the mound. Do you know what happened?
No.
We'll show you right now. Go ahead and roll that video, Katie. You'll never forget Randy Johnson on the mound versus Giants. Boom! He hits the dove. It explodes in the middle of the game. That will never happen again in the history of baseball. But, man, do you remember watching this 20 years ago?
I just can't remember. I cannot believe I've never seen a pitcher as tall as him.
6'7" at least?
6'8", I think, yeah. But he was phenomenal.
That sidearm with that slider, Randy Johnson, one of the best to ever do it. So when he hit that bird, I think I was in like 7th grade. I still remember it vividly, seeing that bird explode, a cloud of feathers.
Well, and it's going to be interesting. That's another tidbit with LSU. I think they've got to get a couple of left-handers coming in. You got to go lefty-lefty late in the games. Got to get some of those lefties to step up.
A lot going on here at the Pelican. Don't forget to check out our YouTube page, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. It is a great way to keep up with everything we do at the Pelican. Tigers Roar, the Clarence Buggs Show, the Exiles. Of course, we want to welcome back Kevin Gallagher after he had a procedure, a little medical issue he's taken care of. We're fully behind him and support him. Good luck, Kevin. We'll know you'll get through it. Also, we have Rocket Right. Don't forget, check us out YouTube. Once again, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. I want to thank you for tuning in for Tigers Roar. He's the Bud Man. I'm JP. We'll see you next time.